is a revealed religion and not founded by anyone. There are two major sources of Islam: the Quran, which is the word of God, and the Hadith, which are the sayings and the actions of the Prophet of Islam, who was Prophet Muhammad. He was the last prophet in the chain of prophets, the first being Prophet Adam. A believer is one from whom people are safe as regards their lives and property, said the Prophet. No one should pose any danger to others' lives, property, or honor. In no circumstances should one take the path of violence. Once a man came to the Prophet and said, "O Prophet, give me some advice which will enable me to manage all the affairs of my life." The Prophet said, "Don't be angry." As anger is always the result of provocation, we should understand this as don't be angry even when provoked. This world is a world of differences. Nature abhors uniformity. This means the differences are a part of nature. Differences are there in every aspect of life. So it is in the case of religion. No one has the power to remove the differences, then the only pragmatic formula is to learn the art of difference management rather than the art of difference elimination. The Prophet of Islam used this guiding principle in forming an Islamic society in Medina in 622. He migrated to Medina, where he lived until his death in 632. The Prophet of Islam issued a declaration. The Medinan society was a multicultural society. Therefore, he issued a declaration called Sahifatul Medina, which means Constitution of Medina. There is a verse in the Quran to this effect: "For you, your religion, and for me, mine." Chapter 109, verse 6. This means the principle for social peace and social harmony is based on peaceful coexistence. Mutual respect is an essential condition of Islam. Indeed, this democratic teaching is its very basis. According to the above prophetic teaching, everyone is worthy of respect. There may be differences, religion and culture, but there is absolutely no difference or discrimination between people in terms of respect and honor. There's an event in the life of the Prophet which talks about his humanitarian outlook. One day, a funeral procession wound its way along the street in Medina. The Prophet, who was seated there at the time of its passing, stood up in respect to the deceased person. One of his companions said, "O Prophet, but he was a Jew," meaning thereby that it was the dead body of a non-Muslim. So the Prophet replied, "Was he not a human being?" This humanitarian outlook was typical of the Prophet's vision of life. He was able to see everyone as a human being. In this case, he discovered a commonality between himself and the Jewish person. He felt that just as he was a human being, so also was the Jew a human being. Just as God had created him, so also God had created the Jew. People may have the differences in belief, religion, culture, etc., but a common bond has to be discovered between them, which shows them all to be human beings. According to a study of the Quran, two distinct entities emerge: the Creator and the created. God is the Creator, and all of us are His creations. On the one hand, there is God, and on the other hand, there is God's creation. On the one hand, there's God, and on the other hand, there's God's creation, and God is one, and mankind is also one. We have the unity of God, which is monotheism, and the unity of mankind, which is universal brotherhood. This is the fundamental teaching of Islam. Let it be now clear, dear friends. I would like you to hear this very carefully, that Islam is the name given to teachings of the Quran and the life and teachings of the Prophet. And the finest examples of living up to the standard was set by the Prophet and his companions. The deeds of later generations, judged by these criteria, will be sadly deficient in true Islamic spirit. Those who make no attempt to live up to the Prophet's example are in no way representatives of Islam. As such, to understand, one must look at Islam as enshrined in the Quran, Prophet's life and teachings. One must judge the actions of Muslims based on the original Islamic sources and not the other way round. Mutual respect is the basic principle of living in a pluralistic society. Islam recognizes no difference between Muslims and peoples of other faith from the ethical standpoint. While it believes in oneness of reality, it lays equal stress on the practice of mutual respect in everyday dealings with others. As I mentioned earlier in the verse of the Quran, to you your religion and to me mine, lays the basis of harmonious living in a pluralistic society. Islam promotes acceptance of diversity and differences and seeks to promote unity despite them. Instead of searching for an imaginary unity by trying to do away with them, the method to solve the issue of religious differences is follow one and respect all, which is given in the above Quranic verse. Religious freedom is pivotal practice of Islam. Acceptance and celebrating it requires that everyone be allowed to present one's thoughts and be given a quiet hearing. One's thoughts are not to be forced upon others, but something to be gently presented. It further promotes love for all. This relationship can be established between all human beings only if they regard one another as sisters and brothers. Only then will proper feelings of love and respect prevail throughout the world. Islam gives many principles on how to live in a pluralistic society. For the greater part of his life, the Prophet Muhammad lived in a society where adherents of other religions existed side by side with believers in Islam. The Prophet's behavior towards the former was invariably that of respect and tolerance. On the one hand, he communicated to them the message of God with love and kindness, and on the other, fulfilled all of their human rights. That is why the people of other faiths of Mecca had such great confidence in him to the point of entrusting their belongings to his care. This they continued to do right up to the last days of his stay in Mecca. Islam further advocates acceptance of ideological differences. This is on a parallel with the principle expressed in the saying, let us agree to disagree. In this connection, one of the commandments of the Quran is that there shall be no compulsion in religion. Chapter 2, verse 256. It should also be noted that there is nothing wrong in diversity of opinions. In fact, this is a positive quality which has many advantages. The beauty of the garden lies in the presence of different types of flowers and trees. Now, what is the binding factor in this acceptance of diversity? It is love, the greatest human virtue. Where there is love, everything is in harmony. There are many sayings of the Prophet in which he has made it incumbent upon believers to treat their fellow men with utmost responsibility and concern. The Prophet of Islam said, "None of you can be a believer unless you desire for your fellow men what you desire for yourself." This love is not limited to only one's family and friends and community. It commands Muslims to love all human beings. In one of its chapters, the Quran says, "Good and evil deeds are not equal. Repel evil with what is better, then you will see that one who was your enemy once has become your dearest friend." See, in these words, it's very important that we even understand the word enemy. It's not enemy as such, meaning an opponent. So there were opponents of when Prophet was giving that message. So it's in that context. This Quranic teaching dispels the we and they concept. By nature, everyone is a friend. The only difference is that some are our actual friends while others are our potential friends. So we should try to turn this potential into actuality. See, for instance, today I'm making so many new friends, but until this morning, you were all my potential friends. Now, what is the rationale behind the love all formula? We need practical steps to follow these things. It is to be aware. Like when are we going to, how are we going to get this love for everyone? It is to be aware and to acknowledge that every other person is a benefactor. It is a lack of awareness of this fact that makes one unable to adopt this love all culture. We are living in a civilization, an advanced stage of refinement in ethical and material matters, resulting from continuous effort on the part of all mankind. For example, when people started life on the planet Earth, human existence was in a primitive state. All development is the work of all of humanity, not the work of any single human being or a single community or a single nation. The discovery of this reality about history gives rise to the culture of love all. Acknowledging others for the good they have done to us is considered very important in Islamic teachings. The Prophet went to the extent of noting, "One who does not acknowledge people cannot acknowledge God," he said. If you add a pinch of dye to a glass of water, all of the water becomes colored. So too in the case of love. When a believer has love in his heart for his Creator, he cannot resist showing his love to his fellow men. And in this electronic age, the whole world is one global family. There's one who acknowledges God in prayer regularly, but is not grateful to the people who have benefited him in life, cannot be regarded as paying sincere thanks to God. This acknowledgement of and gratitude towards others is at the root of developing love for them. Not only does this make us positive for those who are immediately around us and from whom we receive help and support directly, but this also fills our hearts with love for humanity at large. So one of the lessons of the Prophet taught was that we should live among others like flowers and not like thorns without giving trouble to anybody. In this vein, I would like to cite this teaching of the Prophet. He said, if a believer is not able to benefit others, he must at least do them no harm. So when a believer discovers the reality of the world hereafter and is conscious of the belief that he is accountable for every deed he does in this world, he will be careful of every action he undertakes. As he becomes most desirous of the paradise, of which he conveys the glad tidings to others, and fears the punishment for the wrong deeds, deep concern for the life to come always wells up inside a believer. And in the firm belief that one day he will be presented before the all-knowing God, he will conduct himself with a sincere sense of responsibility As an individual, therefore, a Muslim must be a good citizen of the world, be a part of the constructive activities, and contribute towards maintaining peace and harmony. So, in conclusion, I would say, firstly, mutual respect is the basic principle of living in a pluralistic society as per Islam and other religions as well. There is no difference between Muslims and non-Muslims from the ethical standpoint. Each has been granted the same rights. Islam believes in the oneness of reality. It lays equal stress on the practice of respect in everyday dealings with others. Secondly, differences are a natural part of pluralistic societies, so people should accept and celebrate the differences. Then further, it insists on human-friendly behavior and does not instill any fear into the adherents that they will lose their identity by cooperating and interacting with people who hold divergent views. And it encourages intellectual exchange for greater learning and wisdom. This develops one's minds and results in progress of the individual as well as the society. Thirdly, the teachings of Islam directs believers not only to acknowledge God Almighty, but also to acknowledge the contributions of all mankind. The amenities that are available for all in the modern world are due to the contribution of the entire humanity. We have to acknowledge all human beings by loving all as our potential friends and convert this into reality. This is the way that each one of us can live harmoniously in modern pluralistic societies. I will end with the last words of Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, our mentor, the founder for Center for Peace and Spirituality International, head office is in New Delhi. You can see his photograph. These are his last words. The greatest success in this world is to live life in such a manner that you should not have an iota of negative thought against any person. You should depart from this world with a totally positive mindset. This is my last discovery in this world. He passed away on 21st April 2021. He was awarded the Padma Vibhushan posthumously, which his son, Dr. Sanias Naim Khan, received on his behalf. He was known as a Gandhian peace activist and an Islam's ambassador to the world. These are his titles. Now, we'll be honored if you kindly accept a gift of a copy of the Quran, which is in English, pocket size, and a booklet about communal harmony, which my nephew, who is an ex-student of this college, is seated there with a few copies. I didn't know how many people are going to be here. Those of you who want and who don't get it today, you'll get a WhatsApp number. All you have to do is send your address, it will be posted. You don't even have to worry about any thank yous or anything. And we'll just be happy if you can make use of the wisdom which is in it. The Communal Harmony brochure has all our websites. A lot of work has been done for youngsters by the youngsters from our mission. It's all about peace. We also touch upon topics like stress and how to manage relationships. A lot of things for your day-to-day life. We have both aspects to our work. It's not only Islam. So I'm very humbled and I thank you for this great opportunity. May God in His infinite mercies guide us all to live as one global family by accepting and respecting each other in spite of our differences. Thank you for your precious time.